welcome to another episode of Ghana's in Africa podcast. Thank you for being here as always. It's been a good few weeks for the Arsenal, and we're back again in the Premier League after a great win away at Sparta Prague in the Champions League. Just before we start, thank you so much for subscribing to the channel, and if you haven't done so, please subscribe. We are chasing 1,000 subscribers. We just over 20 more. We need more than 20 subscribers to get to that 1,000 mark. I really appreciate your support, and also like this video. It means a lot to me. We're back in the Premier League. We meet our old friend Granit Xhaka. I think a player who had probably sort of two halves of his Arsenal career, 7-year career. The first part, lukewarm, a lot of criticism, and it came to a split when he was captain and went off and threw away the armband, and sort of changed when Mikel Arteta came back, and we sort of fell in love with him and we appreciated more. And when he left having received a lot of love for Arsenal fans, and I think we really appreciated him, especially in our title challenges in Mikel Arteta's tenure. And also we're going to meet a Hale End graduate in Daniel Ballard, who's been doing well for Sunderland. I think he scored a winner in the championship playoffs for them to come to the Premiership. So it's great for him that he's doing great, like many other Hale End graduates, like Sophie Warby, Nketiah, Smith Rowe, Jaden Anthony, who we played against last week against Burnley, and a few others. But before we start on the Sunderland game, I think we can sort of do a reflection on the Champions League midweek game against Sparta Prague. Sort of was a tough game, but I think typical Arsenal kill the game off and score in our goal-scoring machine. Mikel Merino scoring a brace in that game. We're missing quite a lot of attacking players in the moment. We are running out of attacking players. I remember at some point Trossard was kicked in that game, and I felt like we can't lose another one. And he's been key this season for us. He's always been available after being not available, I think, in the first few games of the season. He's been starting a lot of games and he's been performing well, providing assists and everything. So I think we need him, especially that we missing the likes of Martinelli, Madueke, that front line. Gyökeres as well is missing. So going to that game, I think we're speculating about who will start at 9. Will Herman Anu start at 9, or Trossard, and eventually Merino, as sort of we should have expected that he's that guy. I think the game was like a lot of away games we've played this season, similar to what we've done when we went to Bilbao, at Burnley, when we played at Fulham. It was quite a similar game where we allow them in the first 10 to 15 minutes have the ball, press, and then we get control of the game, which we dominate from there. So I think they were very physical as well, but the game was a stop and start game because there were a lot of fouls and people falling. But once we got control, I think in the team, many people were surprised by Hinkapia starting and ahead of Miles, especially because it's been Miles starting the Champions League games or the Cup games. But I think Mikel was expecting that physicality from Sparta Prague. And then in midfield, Christian got started because Zubimen was suspended, and Declan Rice. And then we had Ethan starting ahead of Eze, and then Saka, Trossard, and Mikel Merino up top. I think, we took control of the game. We dominated. I think many people much talk was about Saliba's role in the team, where he would move into midfield, he will carry the ball into midfield, or he will move into midfield to receive the ball. But I think it's not the first time we've seen this. He's done it before, Mikel. I remember against Atalanta, he did something similar. In another game, just mostly the rotations of position, especially from the midfield players and the attacking players, and then the fullbacks. When we played away at PSV, when I think we won 7-1 there, it was quite a similar game because PSV are very good at pressing, so he would do a lot of rotations. But most of that game we camped in their half. So when they press, you move, you drop one, probably drop a centre back, or in one of them fullbacks inverts and make a back three, back two at times. But one of the central midfielders, especially now it's easier because we play double pivot, you find Rice dropping towards the left or Christian Ogard receiving through the stepping into the space that the centre backs leave. So a lot of rotations when we're in possession, especially in midfield, you'll see the wide players dropping into. Sometimes they will drop in central areas, and then the fullbacks will match the highest point player wide. You will see with Hincapie will be wide at times, and then you will find Trossard more central, and Mikel Merino dropping in as well, more sort of try to dominate the numbers in the central areas, but also try, because they do a man-to-man marking. Sparta Prague is sort of moving them to go and man mark some of our players, especially with Saliba. Their number 9 was pressing on Saliba. Saliba will drop in, so he will have to go with Saliba, and then we fill that space with the midfielder, and then we drag them deeper. And then especially sometimes when we pass the ball backwards, we move it quicker than we usually do. Move it quicker so that you get their players, because they have a man-to-man pressing and marking in no man's land, so they are not sure which one to mark, and then you have people who's filling in spaces, especially with Mikel Merino, because you can drop in and be comfortable on the ball in midfield. It's easier because we have Saliba, and Christian Logart in the central areas, and then you're closer to them. You have Declan Rice and Merino and Ethan as well, and then during them is high and Saka much higher. So which was interesting, but it will depend on the side we want to play on. So if we're gonna go to the right side, we'll have Trossard inverting in, and Incapié high on the left, and then vice versa on this other side when the ball is on the other side, which was interesting. But yeah, man, I enjoyed the performance. First goal came with a series of corners, started putting pressure on them, and then we get a corner. It was a handball. I felt it was harsh, but in Europe, those handball will will result in penalties in the box. Saka took it and we scored, and then we sort of controlled the game until the end of the half, and then immediately after we started the second half, 30 seconds in, Trossard on the left, great course, quite similar to what he did against Burnley. And Merino with a great run between the centre backs, finish it off sensibly, quite clinical, that guy in front of goal, first time finishes. And then a few minutes later, goalkeeper mistake, headed it in. He was so surprised when he scored that, Mikel Merino, and 3-0 game over. And yet we didn't have injuries from that game. We move on. We have 12 points now. Two other teams have won 12 points, which is Bayern and Inter. Quite similar, like last season we haven't considered a goal as well. Perfect. And Bayern beat PSG and Inter beat Karat. So yeah, the next game in the Champions League it's Bayern at the Emirates. Quite interesting. Hopefully we have players, because that week we have quite tough games in that week. We start with Spurs in the North London derby, then we have Bayern, and then we have Chelsea. So quite an important week. It will be nice to have some forward players coming back and no more injuries. Moving on to some news, injuries especially. Gabriel Jesus is back in full training with the team. Happy for Gabi, man. He's giving us another option, quite a different forward to what we have, especially he's so unpredictable, and also give us unpredictability. He can play in the wide areas and play as a 9, so he gives us that more depth in the squad that we already have. Especially in the cup games, he's coming back just in time to play Palace again and score his hat-trick. And then there's in like the other players who are still injured. Gyökeres, probably Gyökeres will miss Sunderland's game. Um, we don't know about Martinelli. No news about Madueke and Odegaard and Kai as well. So Mikel didn't want to reveal anything, but he said maybe someone, I don't know, maybe someone will be available. But it would be nice to have someone available in those from those injured players because we probably need one more player in that attacking area because we just I think we've been running out of players in this since the international break. And also what I've realized, like I've been observing how we play the first few games from the international breaks. We've been high intensity and high energy, and then probably the last two games before the international break, we sort of fade away a bit in terms of intensity. Hopefully, you don't fade away that much. Especially, we didn't make a lot of changes in the Champions League game. Normally, I think the last time we had sort of have the Carabao Cup game that we played, and we made changes. No, we had Olympiacos. We made a lot of changes for that game. So, with fresher going to the West, I think the West Ham game was the last game. Yeah, before the international break the last time. So this time we've got Sunderland, which is going to be tough. I think going to that game against Sunderland, I think they've been out of the promoted teams for this season. I think they've been the better team. They are fourth in the Premier League is time of recording. They've in the last five they've won 3 games, drawn one the last game and lost one. So they've beaten that run. They beat Forest away 1-0. They lost at United 2-0. They beat Wolves at home 2-0. They went away at Chelsea. I was watching that game. It was funny for Chelsea defending there. They beat Chelsea 2-1 at Stamford Bridge. And then at home they drew with Everton 1-1 in their last game, which they played on Monday. So they're in form. They're very strong. They look well organized. And of course in midfield they're very strong with our friend Granit Xhaka, play back three, the likes of Dan Ballard, Mukiele, and then midfield you find Xhaka, Sadiki, and then up front, maybe Bertrand Traore, Isidore, he's been very impressive as well as a forward. So, and we're playing at their place, they're going to be buzzing. They've been doing well at home, so it's a tough game. But the good thing for us is that they've played big teams, similar to Burnley. You've watched them play big teams. You know what to expect in terms of threat because you can't take them lightly. So they're a good side. So we need to be in our game. First thing we need to do is first control the game. The first 20 minutes, as usual, 10, 20 minutes are very important. Don't give away anything, no silly mistakes like we've done in the last 8 to 10 games. We don't make a lot of mistakes. If we get under pressure, we are patient. We take our time, and then we get hold of the game. Start putting pressure on them, pushing them there back, create pressure. If they are well organized, we create a lot of set pieces, opportunities, and then we break the game open with the goal. Once we do that, then we can take control of the full game, and then they have to come and play, which is what we've done in the last 8 games, both in all competitions. We've kept 8 clean sheets in a row. We hardly concede shots, and hopefully it's the same thing. But I like the fact that we're respecting what this team brings, and then we prepare well for them. So hopefully we prepare well for this one as well, and we have people available to play. And I think Mikel can go with a strong team again. We have players who were rested, like Calafiori rested, Zubimendi because we're suspended midweek as a starter from a bench, meaning that it's fresh. So I think he can have a strong team going to this game. The great thing about us is that we don't concede, meaning that you don't concede, you can find a way to win in a goal, and especially the fact that we are very strong on set pieces. We can punish teams when they get those opportunities. I think my predicted 11 would be, we'd David Ryan goal, Julian Timber right back, left back, Ricardo Calafiori, Gabriel Magalhaes and William Saliba at centre back, midfield, Declan Rice, who's been was superb against Sparta Prague. Zubimendi, well rested, should be in fresher with more intensity as well. And then I would get Eze starting, and then our wide men Sakai and Trossard, and then up front Mikel Merino. And hopefully we have probably a Gabriel Martinelli or Madueke playing, available on the bench. I think our bench should be stronger with the likes of Ethan, Luis Kelly, Norgard, Max Dowman, Herman Anus will probably have an opportunity to be on the bench for this game as well. But I think we can get 3 points. It's a big weekend, man. Like, 3 points will go a long way, especially with Liverpool and City playing each other this weekend. One of them will drop points. Hopefully both of them drop points. A draw will be massive for us. If we get a draw, we'll probably have it'll be on, I think it's 9 points that we're gonna be on if we get the win and they draw. But we need to win. The most important part, win, put pressure on them going to that game, think that they have to win that game to stay in the title race. Or they don't have to lose the game. So that's the thing, man. It's a massive, massive weekend for Arsenal. It's time to take advantage like we've done in the past 8 weeks. 6 weeks, I don't know. We need to take advantage of it. So I think we can go there and not consider goal. We can say a 2-0 win for the Arsenal. A goal from Gabriel and Eberechi Eze. I think we can take this one. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it. As mentioned before at the start, we're chasing 1,000 subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do, and like this video. You can also find this on Spotify and the audio version, and on Apple Pod, Ghana's in Africa there. I'll drop the link in the description as well for this to access those platforms. Please drop some reviews and some comments on those channels as well. I'll appreciate it. Come on, you Gunners.